Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Weyandt, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Great Tech Group, where we model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation of this great industry. This episode is part of Prefab Unfiltered, recorded live at Advancing Prefabrication. We talk a lot about prefabrication in electrical and mechanical trades, but drywall prefab is still in its early innings, especially in certain markets, and that creates a really interesting dynamic. How do you scale prefabrication in a trade that has historically been field-driven? How do you tighten BIM-to-fab workflows? And how do you bridge the communication gap between the model and the job site? That's exactly what today's conversation is about. Today, I'm joined by Kiryl Turbal, Prefabrication Project Manager at TJ McCartney. Kiryl brings a unique background to the construction industry. He started overseas as a structural engineer, focused on concrete design, spent more than a decade in pure design work, and then transitioned into the U.S. market where he now focuses on drywall prefabrication and BIM-driven workflows. This is a thoughtful conversation about mindset, coordination, and the practical realities of scaling prefab in an evolving trade. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Great Tech Group. We are recording live here from Advancing Prefabrication in Dallas, Texas. Welcome to the show. Thanks, Kiryl, for taking the time to come and join us today.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yeah, so I like to get kind of your origin story. How did you get into the construction industry to begin with?
I get into construction industry a long time ago, back when I was still overseas doing design type of work as a structural engineer, mostly with concrete buildings. So I spent like over 10 years, probably 14 years working in like pure design side of construction in my country, where I'm originally from. And then suddenly I get amazing opportunity to work and live in the US, and I decided, why not?
Yeah, that's awesome. And what brings you to Advancing Prefab?
That's pretty much a specialized conference in the field that I'm working with. I'm Prefabrication Project Manager with TJ McCartney. So just get a little bit extra knowledge, see what other people are doing, meet great, smart people, chat with vendors and technological partners and that type of stuff.
Yeah, any big takeaways so far from the conference?
Yeah, I believe I get a few great ideas. I especially like the ideas that I get the first day of the conference when experienced people were suggested to treat prefabrication shops not like cost center, but value streams. I like that idea because everybody looking at the cost. Hey, you're going to prefab that. How much added cost is there? Like, let's just think how much problems I'm going to solve. Yeah, there's might be added cost, but
yeah. How do you go about that, the mindset shift on the organization side to make that happen?
That's something that I need to work on to make sure I'm going to start shifting mindset in our organization. We still see a lot of value that our fab shop is bringing to the organization, but we still need to look on this a little bit more.
So let's talk about the BIM to fabrication process. How do you tighten that up to make sure that the BIM model is truly, constructible, it's buildable, and all the information is in there?
It's hours and hours of coordination with other trades, with GC, sequencing, that type of stuff. We don't have any AI software implemented in our work process. We pretty much use Revit with MWF from Structsoft.
Yeah.
Now it's right. They're good friends. We like our outside. There are some other options for steel framing on the market that we using less often than Grytec, but that's pretty much the software we trying to use. Not trying, we're using to push all the fabrication from BIM models to fab shop.
Yeah. So talk to me about some of that workflow aspect of it. You mentioned Structsoft there. What's the technology flow like?
So technology flow that with your guys' help, we framing everything. We producing production tickets for the shop. Then we use ERP system that pretty much giving us an opportunity to flawlessly push those production tickets to the fab shop. We use QR code system, so guys can just scan QR code. There's going to be production tickets on a unit they are working on, and just flawlessly push that unit from one station to another to the packaging and the shipment station.
Yeah. How long have you guys been leveraging Structsoft?
In my whole construction career in US, I'm MWF user.
Oh, okay.
But it's like over 6 years now.
Okay. Were you there when the implementation started, or was Structsoft kind of predated that?
With the first place, when I started, Structsoft was already part of the workflow. But when I moved to another place, to the Boston market, I brought MWF and the workflow.
Nice. What's the adoption and implementation like?
I couldn't give you a lot of insight about that because our BIM department quite small. And there's just few people, so we have no problem with adopting and implementation. Obviously, we were targeting new hires to have that specific knowledge. People on board doing BIM and prefabrication, TJ McCartney, already had MWF knowledge.
Nice. Very cool. So what are some of the common gaps that you see between what the model looks like and what actually needs to happen on the fabrication floor?
It's not mostly about fabrication floor as it is on the job site. We all doing great job coordinating different trades, different overhead mechanicals, drywall, etc. But sometimes information is being lost in transition from desk of BIM coordinator to the job site foreman. And then I think that's the biggest gap that the industry needs to think how to cover.
Any thoughts on how to bridge that communication gap?
First of all, we need buyout from your field team, field crew, 100% buyout. That's something that we're going to do. And we need to find a way how to present that information, be modeled that we coordinated to them in a way they can digest and understand better. We all 100% proficient to spin ACC models, Navisworks, MWF, but job site foreman, they have bigger problem than just spin our models. We just need to live with that. We need to understand that and help them to find that tool, that approach that can help them utilize BIM, VDC a little bit deeper.
Yeah. How do you go about helping develop that baseline knowledge of the model and what it takes on the coordination front?
Yeah, we're trying to all the time, every single job site visit, trying to touch base with guys on a job site. Hey, do you need something? Do you need me to go over some, what is your problem? Help me understand your problem. Help me think what I have in my back pocket, in my tool set with all those technologies to help you solve your problem. Because my problem, their problem, not necessarily the same problem. Even the same problem, we can look at that problem from different perspective. And I want to see their side of things to help them to solve those problems. It's communication. Construction, especially at Northeast, it's all about communication and relationships.
Clear lines of communication as well.
Clear, double and triple clear lines of communication. And sometimes even writing down communication, not internally, externally. That's
right.
You need some proofs about what you communicate.
Sure, for sure. Documentation is your friend.
Yeah. Good papers make good friends.
I like it. What do you think what do teams kind of underestimate when it comes to the level of coordination that's needed?
I'm going to say for sure that GC are underestimate how long it takes to coordinate the job. It never happened in my construction career over here that we were done with coordination with same amount of time and hours that GC asked us to carry in our base bit. Never happened. I hope that time going to happen soon.
Yeah,
I hope.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
How do you then, align earlier in the process to get everybody on the same page so that timeline is closer to the reality?
It's, we're going back to communications. Just be open to your clients, be open to your trade partners. Just keep track all the stuff you've done, all the hours you spent. Push that information on them quite often and make sure they're aware that we out of hours and let them decide or they want us to stop doing coordination or they want to do something else.
Yeah. Makes sense. So when you're looking at what can be a repeatable play, how do you start to identify that of this is going to be a reliable process that we can build in, it's repeatable, to make it scalable?
I think, I think when you went through the process once, talking about prefabrication, so you did design something, you change ideas that design team put in that unit to make these a little bit more fabrication friendly. You talk to your fab foreman, you guys come up with ideas, you tried it on the first couple of units, it didn't work out, then you change something, tweak something, like over that first job, let's say you did like 20 units of that type, you feel like at the end of that process, you find a way to make that production efficient enough to scale these moving forward, because you made quite a few mistakes on that way. So because first your attempt wasn't nearly as successful as the last one. It just repetition is making process and fabrication a little bit easier to scale, because you have a luxury to try the same process multiple times and make yourself better every single time. So that's the goal.
Yeah. How do you document and then communicate those learnings on each one, so that you're, as things are happening, as something didn't go according to plan, you're able to document that and then learn from that?
Yeah, it's basically taking the notes at every single call that you on a fab with a fab foreman about the job. Just try to get them in the same spot. So I have just dedicated place for the different project. You just taking the notes, and when you are done with like first batch, you just revisit all the notes. Hey, we need to have a meeting. The next batch is going to start in 2 weeks. We need to revisit that item, and that item. Let's just sit, let's just think together, just revisit, brainstorm. That went well. We're going to keep doing this process that way. That code didn't go that well. Like what we need to change, how we can improve that process. It's daily improvement, not daily, but it's constant improvement. That's, the growth of the process.
Yeah, for sure. So let's broaden it out to take a bigger lens on the industry. What do you think is going to be kind of the next big wave of change that takes place over the, I'll say, 3 to 5 years?
That's a good question. Actually, we are being on northeast side of things, not west coast, plus drywall contractor. You can imagine like our drywall prefabrication is slightly behind what other trades are doing. Electricians, mechanicals, they've been doing prefab for years, 10 years, 20 years. Some of them, as we were listening those sessions, doing that stuff for like 30 years. And I'm going to say that drywall prefabrication are relatively new to the market. And I just hope that next 5 years, we're going to be in the same level as mechanicals and electricians right now. That's the goal, but looks like mechanicals, electricians going to step even further forward, and we're going to learn from them.
So how do you look at the mechanicals and the electricals and say, okay, I'm going to not make those mistakes that you did so I can scale faster?
Good question. I didn't look at them that way, because our fab processes are completely different. They have a lot of pre-built assemblies in their fabrication process. Like we usually making our units of raw material. It's slightly different. Like my prefab usually bigger. We're talking about, 20 feet tall, 10 feet wide panels, wall panels, whole bathroom pods. But this is a good point. I'm gonna make a note and just trying to brainstorm that idea, how I can use their like drastical knowledge, years of knowledge, to make my process a little bit more efficient.
You're welcome. That one's for free. So what conversation do you think the industry should be having that maybe isn't having, or that needs to have more of this year?
I think we all are excited about AI. We all are extremely excited about AI, but we need to think about security of using AI. Sure. It's all database, like it's a lot of people can call it commercial information according to your trades. Like if we are in different market in different states, that might be okay, but you need to make sure that you sign an agreement with platform you are using, that they're not gonna use that knowledge to help your competitors to be more competitive. If we all gonna agree that that's okay to use that information, then that's okay. But I just wanna all contractors, subcontractors be on the same page about that.
Yeah,
I think that's something that whole industry need to have conversation. Plus, we need to have a lot of conversation with owners and GCs how to approach prefab.
Mhm.
Like I wish they can get on the same page and start treating prefab the same way across the country, because our processes in Northeast is not unlike somebody else is doing. And I wish I could have design assist contract, but my prefab most of the times, hey, we have something, can you prefab it? Can we change that? No. Can you still prefab it? I guess.
Yeah. Do you see that changing at all?
Yes, I wish that process, that change could move a little bit faster. We start seeing design assist contracts and clients engage in prefabricators early on, but it's not everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just we see those sparkles on the market. I wish that could be a fire instead of sparkles. So like whoever can do this early on, whoever is capable, they're going to be, really on demand. That's not happening. Right now, only price is important, unfortunately.
Well, if it makes you feel better, like several years ago, we did a lot with the MEP side of things, and mechanical's always been kind of ahead, but electrical was later in the game getting into it.
Yep.
And they have taken off over the last few years. I think that there's hope that once it starts catching, it's going to go fast.
I think the big part of electrical trades to just ramp up all these BIM processes and prefabrication processes because they involved in high-tech industry. They making a lot of data centers for like Amazon, Meta, whoever else.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Like sometimes
data centers have taken over everything right now.
Sometimes I need to prefab drywall in affordable housing market. So there is no high tech. Nobody's looking for top-notch solution. Them working in that environment is really like inherently pushing them to utilize smarter solutions, because owners high demand, GC are asking a lot. So it's just environment, like high performance environment, that you have to offer solutions that going to be relevant.
Yeah. So as we start to land the plane, a couple of rapid fire questions for you. What is the phrase modeling the future? What does that mean and look like to you?
Modeling the future. For me, modeling the future is just think not about something that's going to happen in 3 years. It's just a little bit longer horizon. And with all technologies and all the progress so far, like we didn't know how construction is going to look like in 30 years. Like 30 years back, construction was nothing like that. Nobody ever thought how construction gonna looks like in 30 years. And now that process speeding up as a crazy. So like I have really hard time to think how it's gonna look like in 30 years. I still hope I'm gonna be around to see how it looks like. I will not necessarily participate, but just to have a little peek how it looks like. I'm going to be excited. It's fun time to live and work in construction. It's really is.
Sure. I feel like in the construction industry right now, it's the pace of change is so crazy.
Oh,
a year is like what a decade used to be.
Yeah.
A decade ago. It's crazy.
Exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The pace is just unbelievable quick.
Yeah. So what does innovation mean to you?
Innovation to me means efficiency. So if you can help somebody else to solve their problem quicker, cheaper, with a better output, that's innovation.
Yeah. How do people connect with you or learn more of what you got going on?
They connect with me on LinkedIn. They can came by, say hi. I'm still somewhere around Advancing Prefabrication. Just be aware of what's going on in Drywall Prefab. That's a pretty small community. There's not a lot of people in the social media doing Drywall Prefab, and that's probably the best way.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, final question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing, what would you pick to innovate?
Ooh, what would I pick to innovate?
Yeah.
I would probably go to change construction management team mindset. I would probably go with that. I would probably try to convince them that not only the lowest price makes sense. Sometimes you can build a better product. You can build it quicker with not the cheapest contractor. Just look for knowledge. And not gonna pay off. Not probably necessarily immediately in first couple of months engaging with top-notch contractor, but over course the whole job, it's definitely gonna pay off. And don't ask top-notch contractor to level their price with the cheapest guy and still accept the same services that they're capable to provide. Because we just have to reduce the budget. There is no BIM anymore. There is no fancy prefab anymore.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, for sure. Thanks very much for taking the time and joining the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting.
Awesome. And now it's time for my Todd takes from this episode. First take, treat prefabrication as a value stream, not a cost center. Prefab shops are often measured as overhead. That mindset limits growth. When prefabrication is viewed as a value stream, the conversation changes. It becomes about throughput, repeatability, quality, and margin protection. It becomes about reducing field variability and improving installation speed. Scaling drywall prefabrication requires leadership to frame it as a strategic asset, not just a support function. Second take, coordination always takes longer than we care to admit. One of the most practical insights in this conversation is that BIM-to-fabrication workflows are rarely as smooth as schedules suggest. Coordination, model updates, and real-world job site constraints take time. When general contractors compress that time without adjusting expectation, friction follows. If prefab is going to scale in drywall and other trades, project timelines must reflect the reality of coordination efforts. And finally, repetition builds maturity. Electrical and mechanical trades have been prefabbing longer, and that repetition shows. Drywall prefabrication is still gaining traction in many regions. The path forward is not reinvention on every project. It's documentation, lessons learned, and standardized workflows that improve each cycle. Prefab scales when teams capture knowledge and apply it systematically. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you are interested in learning more, you can visit our sponsor, GrayTech Group, at graytech.com. You can listen to this podcast anytime by simply going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to check out our website, bridgingthegappod.com. As always, I'm Todd Weyandt, thanking you for joining the conversation to model the future on the Bridging the Gap podcast. Keep innovating.